Hello there. I have to go pick up our new furry family member today. Beefcake the rabbit. That's what the wife says we can name it if it's a boy. Fingers crossed. So instead of the usual video, I'm going to space out 3 separate random stories in different videos tonight. This will allow me to touch on some stories that I've been missing, as I haven't been able to fit everything into my scripts or schedule. So enjoy. Something lives in that museum. An experience submitted by Jade. When I lived near Abingdon, my middle school decided to take a trip to a museum house near the Barter Theater. I think it was called the Fields Pen 1860 Museum House. To sum it up, it's an old house on the turnoff to get to Abingdon's central area, where G2K and Food City is. It's a great example that shows how life was in the 1800s. When we visited, we learned how the family there would have lived, about how they made their own things to survive. They even showed us how to handcraft our own things and let us try it out. But my favorite part was when they told us to check if diamonds were real. They would use them to carve their names into solid glass, as diamonds are harder than glass. I'm ranting a bit, but the point was for a 7th grader who was into history and art. This was awesome. I had a really great time there. But what I didn't know at the time was that this area and this house were paranormal hotspots. So on our visit, we had made it to the back of the house. The backyard leads to the farmer's market across the road. We were learning about how, back in the day, they would farm bees for their honey, and about the economics of selling honey. By that point, I was dead tired. My enthusiasm wasn't as high anymore, and I was ready to go home. I'd rather be home playing games and crashing for the night. The honey room was a small area in the back with a doorway leading to it. To get in, you had to pass by a large, sliding, interlocked door to the back porch, and to get there you had to go through the doors a few feet behind the honey room that led to the den-like area. The house itself was old, creaky, and any steps you'd make would be heard for miles, which was only made worse by the acoustics of the place, causing everything to echo. Because of this, when I heard no one else in the house at the time, I assumed that the other group we had been with had already loaded back onto the bus. Kids especially going through this old house make a ton of noise, so I was certain we were the last ones there. I was near the back of the group, leaning on the door frame. Near me were these football jocks that picked on me from time to time, but today they were chill. I think we were all just too tired to care anymore. As I stood there, waiting for things to finally get done with, I heard a loud coming from behind me. My young brain wondered what it was, so I poked my head around the corner of the door. The 2 others with me also did so, looking like something out of a cartoon as they were taller than me, as I was on the bottom, Palmer in the middle, and William on top. Right in front of our eyes, the door to the back porch just opened. This didn't make sense. The sliding lock that had kept it locked inside could only be opened by an adult, as it was high up, far too high for us kids. But as we looked, we saw that the lock was unlocked, which couldn't have been right, because the only remaining adult that had been back here was the guide. But we had watched him lock it, and we saw no one else pass us, not to mention, like I said, it was an old, creaky house. And we didn't hear any sounds of footsteps behind us before we heard the door begin to move. The guide noticed us peeking at it and walked up behind us and frowned. "That's not supposed to be open," he said. I asked him why it was open, and he said, "Another group must have come by." But he obviously did not sound very sure. I overheard him say to a teacher that the door was heavy and hard to open at times. Meaning if someone had opened it, we should have heard more noise than we had. not just a couple of strange creaking noises. When we were done, I rushed back to the bus with the other children, confused and creeped out, ready to leave this place. The other kids, upon being told what happened, said that they did it, but with the mean smiles on their faces, and with multiple people claiming they had done it themselves, I think they were just trying to tease us. This really freaked me out when I was a kid, and I'm still very convinced that the paranormal is real. But what would you expect, living in a town like that with a lot of Civil War history, a lot of bad blood and trauma over the years? To me, I think the town has its own memories, and I think sometimes those memories replay in our reality. But that doesn't mean it's any less disturbing.